Down with triplicate forms, up with crayons and graffiti.
So, curses, cursed treasure. Are we doing cursed objects as well? Because I kind of prepared a little bit for that. Or if we want to save that for another time.
What's a treasure, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like
One man's trash.
Yes. Like I threw away a couple of those crystal skulls one time.
It's funny you should say that. I picked some crystal skulls out of some jerk's trash one time. I had to give them away, though. They kept speaking. What's your favorite cursed treasure? Do you have one? Is One-Eyed Willie's cursed?
Was that? I don't know if that was cursed or not.
No, it's not.
I don't really think so. I mean, it wound up being bad luck for the Fratelli brothers. Okay, I'm going to do this and then I'll stop. We'll get back on topic. Fratelli brothers.
Yes.
The Italian word for brothers is fratelli.
Yeah.
So it's the brothers. I love that. Anyway, Goonies is great. Do you guys have a favorite cursed treasure?
So this isn't a treasure per se, but it's a good story that I like, and I'm going to throw both of these together. You have they're both dolls.
It's a creepy topic already.
I know. We're jumping right into
five monsters.
Robert the doll, and then you have Annabelle, and they're both very similar. There's not much that you can do with a cursed doll.
Isn't there a movie about that or something? Is there a movie about?
I think Annabelle, if I remember right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And in typical Danny C fashion, I can only give you about half the story of both of these, and we put them together in one like completely fabricated story, which is fun. Yeah. But the general idea, as you would expect with a doll, is spoiler alert, they come to life and they do things. Usually move around, they talk, that kind of a thing. I believe Annabelle was second, first. I don't remember. One of them was the early 1900s. And the basic idea, person gets this doll and starts moving, starts talking. And then the other one, I think, was in the 70s. And I don't know if that's right either. But the one with Annabelle, that's the one where they end up putting it in this case, like this glass or plexiglass case. Yeah. And they say, like, don't let it out. It kind of is self-contained. And then Robert the doll is an interesting one. So he's in Florida, last I heard. He actually came up to Pennsylvania.
Did you move there to avoid paying taxes? Is that?
Well, I think he retired. I think is what it was.
I also heard something about child support, that they're not very good at sending it back from Florida. I shouldn't tell people that. Be responsible, everybody. Like us. Like, don't take us as role models, but be responsible.
So Robert the doll, similar history, has to do with talking to people and moving around and whatever and getting into all kinds of trouble. Usually a kid is involved with these stories and like they blame it on the doll and the parents are like, yeah, of course, whatever. But with Robert the doll, so Robert the doll is in Florida, came up to Pennsylvania as part of like on display at some other thing. And I believe the person that was transporting the doll ended up dying suddenly. So correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But the interesting thing about Robert the doll is that allegedly you're supposed to ask before you can take a photo. If you take a photo of the doll without asking, then you get bad luck. If you taunt either of these dolls, bad luck, up to and including death. All kinds of crazy things. So when it comes to favorite stories about cursed objects, those dolls, like they have all the right pieces, I think.
Yeah, and that's actually, so it's interesting, because like so the bad luck thing is a thing. Like sometimes it's like, we'll probably do a whole conversation on cursed objects anyway. But like is it James Dean and the whole
his car is cursed.
The car was cursed, and Allen Guinness. Allen Guinness, that's Obi.
No, that's Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness. Alec, I'm sorry.
I think he's since passed away. So it's
Murphy here with us.
Unless, he could be sitting there as a ghost,
in blue, kind of like. What I told you is true from a certain point of view. Yeah,
So your name was Alan from a certain
point of view, through a glass darkly. He warned what's his name to get rid of that car because it was cursed. You'd be dead in a week or something like that, and he winds up dying in it, right?
When I
I'm
think
looking
of
through my
like
notes
cursed
here.
treasure and cursed, and especially cursed treasure / cursed object, Tutankhamun, right? The treasure of
Yeah,
Tutankhamun, both something that's ancient but also modern, going back to like, obviously, there seems to be explanations for the people that have died that uncovered it and stuff like that. Like, oh, it was like they got some kind of bad air or mold got to them or something like that, killed them, whatever it was. But it's like, but still, like, it did sort of kill them, like uncovering in a sense, whether that was the way that the curse worked out or not. It's like it seems to have taken out the people that uncovered it, the broke the. I mean, and obviously, it seems that a lot of like Pharaoh treasure was cursed, but the thing about like that too is it also links that like very like at least like very ancient history of like ancient civilization history and like very modern things, and then that's where we get like the mummy's curse and all that cool stuff,
yeah,
so I mean
yeah.
like so Tutankhamen's treasure.
And probably one of the general rules for not getting cursed is if you find a tomb, leave it the F alone.
So grave robbing, that's out. You shouldn't do that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Grave robbing's okay. You said tomb raiding. That's
Oh,
Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, yeah.
Go grave rob all you want.
You're not going to get anything.
Well,
You're not gonna
notoriously cursed.
all the rich people shoot themselves into space and wait for the,
It's,
Talking about Tutankhamun, I know even less about this than the dolls that I just spoke about. The Basano vase is like a Roman vase from the Roman times, and I think it had a note saying that whoever owns this would die or something like that. Does anyone?
The Basano vase. Huh?
This is a very on the audience to research for themselves.
This is a podcast where you do all of your own research.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
sorry,
it's a
guys,
cursed,
keep rolling
it's a
on.
cursed silver vase from 15th century Italy.
I
And
was older than that. My mistake.
yeah, well, I mean, Italy is
Italy's older than that.
yeah. With this, the land that it's on is even older than any of this stuff. Yeah, yeah, it's silver. You could definitely sell it, and I definitely would if you get it, because you probably don't want to be in possession of it. It's cursed. Curses. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. The Templar Knights were associated with a cursed treasure story. The Knights Templar, as we all call them. I don't know why I just called them the Templar. Templar, comma, Knights. Yeah, so the Knights Templar were they were a military order during the Crusades. They were they're involved in a lot of crazy conspiracy stories and origin stories of different organizations like the Rosicrucians and the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and the Freemasons and
The Illuminati.
the Illuminati, various versions of the Illuminati. A lot of times the Knights Templar wind up in there. They're also involved in the story of the Baphomet. This is great. We can go on any of these. There's blank cards everywhere here. So but there's this story that they amassed this vast fortune because they were doing excavations under the old temple in Jerusalem, and that they amassed.
It wasn't thieving it during the Crusades, right? Was it?
Yeah, well, and the Knights Templar actually did wind up with a lot of money, but actually one of the reasons was a very clever workaround around the taboo of usury or charging interest on loans and things like that. So forever, nobody could really. People didn't. Christians avoided doing it because there was a taboo against it, and so they found a way around it by basically running out the equivalent of old school safety deposit boxes. So they're like renting out the space, and so when wealthy folks would travel from, say, like northwestern Europe, I guess, like England, etc. On down, and they're traveling to the quote unquote Holy Land, they'd need protection. And they also wouldn't want to be carrying lots of gold and wealth and things like that. But when they get there, they're gonna want all their bling. So the idea was that the Knights Templar in one place could write a code that you could then give to the Knights Templar in the Holy Land and cash in. So it was like the forerunner maybe of like routing numbers or something, like early international banking.
They're basically slash bankers slash like loan sharks.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean they're even like a military order, you know. So it's like, yeah. But so they made a lot of money. They made a lot of money doing all this kind of stuff and related things. And so, King Philippe of France. I'm sure he had a number. Sorry. I didn't know we were going to be talking about them in detail, but here I go. And then and Pope Clement, I believe, who are all buddies, decide that they want to get the money. And they're like, let's get these guys. We'll say that they're worshiping the Baphomet, which might be the severed head of John the Baptist, if it's the Invisibles version, or it might be some other kind of pagan thing. It's taken on all kinds of cool forms since then. But and so they arrest them all, and if I'm not mistaken, it's October 13th, Friday, October 13th, which is not actually where Friday the 13th goes back to, but it was a Friday the 13th. I like that one though. And they arrest them all and kill them all. And at the end of it all, there's Jacques de Molay, who is for which the de Molay Society is named, which is a Masonic adjacent or Masonic group. And he curses Philippe and Clement and probably the treasure. This is where the story comes from. And they both die, like, within like a couple years or like a year, if I'm not mistaken. Our beloved listeners, you can fill in you can put the frog DNA in our dinosaur of a story. How long did it take for those two to die? And that'd be a great little clip for YouTube short. How long did it take for those two to die? It has nothing to do with our thing today. Yeah. So there you go. The cursed treasure, no one knows where it is. It's only believed to be there because that was the premise under which all these guys were arrested. There might not have been any treasure, but the idea is that there's this curse associated with it. So it's this funny mythological treasure, unlike the Hope Diamond, which I believe is 100% real diamond.
Well, it's
whatever
real, so that's
that's what I mean. You know, I mean depending on so anytime after you hear this, questionable whether it'll be there or not. Smithsonian is not what it used to be.
Well, hence the curse. I mean, there's probably a lot of curse. There's probably between the British Museum, the Smithsonian, and all. There's probably a lot of cursed objects just floating around in vast archives.
Yeah. I'm a fan of the institutional curse.
Cursed treasure. Should we just get what's the archetypal idea, right, of cursed treasure? It does seem to have something to do if people are, it's wrongfully taken, right? Or it's or it's something that's treasure that was it was either spiritual or religious or which that kind of covers also the pyramids, the Pharaoh treasure or stuff, or I think the Hope Diamond, wasn't that taken from India? And it's
that's the story. It was carved out of a statue, and
but later believed is actually just mined and not part of a statue. So there's kind of debate over the origin of it.
Right. And then the Templar or something like pirate treasure, like Captain Kidd's treasure, right? Those are both they sort of got that through ill-gotten gains, but then the treasure itself is sort of cursed. It's as well, because because even for them, like the Knights Templar seem to have met their end unceremoniously. And most pirates usually did as well, unless you were like very lucky, like Captain Morgan, to like lead on like a good like become less pirate and more politics.
Less pirate and more rum distillery mascot.
Well, more like the like whatever, a governor of a colony, and you can eke out like a decent retirement.
Yeah.
Potentially a knighthood that gets revoked, posthumously.
Well, that's the best way for it to do, because oftentimes if it gets revoked prehumously, then
yeah, it's usually
there's a bad it involves your humus.
Yeah.
Osity.
Yeah. So it's often like, so cursed treasure is usually ill-gotten, or in the case of like fairy fairy treasure, like when you get into like burial mounds and things, or like other world treasure that's guarded by like from the fairy realm, like that's like people getting that, it often ends up
leprechauns.
Bad luck. So there you go.
Yeah.
So it's like
There's a topic for you.
No, yeah, so it's
I think the Loch Ness Monster story would be more interesting if the Loch Ness Monster were allegedly guarding treasure.
That would be pretty.
I bet people would be more apt to look for it. Once you put some money around something, people are go for it.
Well, in that case, you could also say like curse.
A lot of people have a lot of tragedies associated with Loch Ness. Stupid people going after the treasure.
I think before we started recording, you talked about something making a good short. This would make a good short. Did you know the Loch Ness Monster guards treasure? You've never heard this before. You only hear it here.
We're revealing things here. Don't believe us? Put it in the comments. There's buried treasure down below in the comments. Find the cursed comment and win a free t-shirt. Kind of a double-edged sword.
It's interesting, though, talking about cursed treasure. It doesn't seem like there's really any reason why it ought to be cursed, because typically from the little I know about cursed treasure, the person who it belonged to is no longer around. They're gone,
All right. So I do have some things to say about that, but I don't want to interrupt you in case you're...
That's pretty much
all right. All right. Well, I already did that. So mission accomplished. That's how you know it's me. Garfield's Halloween and the cursed treasure, right? They were coming back, even if it meant returning from the grave 100 years from that night. Now, what do you think the likelihood was that they were going to live to be 130 from the year 1820 or something like that? Of course they're going to have to come back from the dead to get that treasure. And so I don't know, there's an association there. There's grimoires. Okay, so here we go. God, I'd drag grimoires into it. Class mobility has not often been a thing in the past, and so it's kind of like, how do you move from being a poor person to a rich person? Find out here on our podcast.
So that's a different
you get a grimoire,
bets on stock market.
and you find some. So now it's like there's like a lottery. Get your lottery spells, but which whatever. But the grimoires are grimoires. People would get grimoires for the purpose of hunting treasure, because it was one of the legitimate ways that you could move from being a poor person to a rich person. If you found treasure and like hired enough people with weapons and things to protect you before people found out that you've got the treasure, then like you could hold on to that treasure, and now you have money too, and you're playing in the rich person's game. But like, look, that's not a historically accurate description of how that would actually happen. But like, this is the idea. But the idea also was that treasure was cursed. That like it was almost like, think about like the stereotypical greedy miser clinging to their or the Skeksis at the beginning of the Dark Crystal, that's like clinging to the scepter, or like I'm always going to be emperor, it's always, I'm always going to cling on. This is my gold. And then they, crumble into dust and stuff. but which doesn't really happen. Skeksis actually just kind of go motionless in real life. But Where's I going with this? People, help me out.
Okay,
Curses.
So,
I
go ahead.
was saying like, yeah. So I think the like if it's like yeah, just not belonging to anyone, but I think like uh, in that sense, like with like the Pharaoh's treasure, there's that's like their stuff still. So even though they're dead because they're in the
Yes.
afterlife, you're
Yes.
not supposed to be taking their stuff. They still have power because they made it, hopefully made it using the secrets book of the dead type thing to get across, and get into the afterlife. But their stuff on Earth is still their stuff, and or at least representative of the things that they were supposed to be taking with them to the other side, right? So that's like, so in a weird sense, like that. So the curse on that is like to keep you from messing with their stuff. I probably just a
Yeah.
smart great. I really probably didn't work that well because like most grave sites at some point have been like with that kind of treasure have been robbed. I think it was only because like Tutankhamun's uh grave was like so lost, like and historically lost as well. Like it was just kind of like he was given a more like for a pharaoh a pretty quick burial type thing, and
Mm.
it wasn't that it's like kind of
Yeah.
the deal because there was a political stuff going on, people getting ousted and things, and so that kind of stuff. It's like so most of the time I think the curses. Maybe they might have worked. I mean, I'm sure the people that stole it might have met their end. I mean, probably they're largely in a criminal type of organization, or so they probably met their end somehow. Like, I'm sure, and
Yeah.
I can imagine like if it wasn't for getting caught stealing, it's like given the like religious nature of the items. If I'm sure if the government of the sorts caught you robbing tombs, it probably, like the punishment probably wasn't very.
Anyone seen Conan the Barbarian? The Barbarian specifically, not the Destroyer.
Right. Yeah.
And there's the whole thing about I don't want to give a spoiler on this, but like there's like a character that makes a bargain for another character and pays with their own life late in the movie. And it's but it shows up in a way that's just kind of like natural. All right, sorry people, if you haven't seen it, it's not gonna spoil the movie. It's really cool in its own way. His female companion bargains for his life and with the spirits that are coming to take his soul away. And then she gets killed later by Falsadun. James Earl Jones. He gets killed by James Earl Jones. Um, sorry guys, I didn't mean to go on a Conan tangent, but
So,
it's the curse. It's like that. Sometimes you make a deal with spirits and you get paid back. Sometimes you just encroach upon somebody else's spirit stuff and you get caught in the crossfire, kind of thing.
well, let's hang on that for a second. So, in the very, and admittedly, the very little research I've done on this, it seems like these objects, whether it's a doll or a Porsche or aircraft parts or whatever, they're cursed because it seems to be the case that once someone has it, something bad happens, and then that trend kind of continues. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be the case where it's like Child's Play movie-esque. Where someone's dying in a factory and they're like, oh, I'm going to put my spirit into this doll and I'm going to come back and kill people. Like, it doesn't seem like that happens, at least from what I've discovered. It seems to just be like bad luck attributed to these things.
Right. I mean, there is the notion of the institutional curse, and it's kind of like the witch that screams from the burning stake that, they curse your entire bloodline, and everybody's born with this curse, and that kind of happens in stories, but a lot of the times like the curse stories we have are like, yeah, they're like if they're not straight up hauntings. And you see that's where it gets weird, okay? Because like so curses are kind of bad luck, but usually so there's the purposeful curse, and then there's the purposeful curse that's like the I curse this institution or your bloodline or you, you know. Um, and there are different ways that happens. And then there's like the cursed object, which is kind of like the unlucky object. And then there's like that weird kind of like trespassing curse, like where you were taking something that wasn't yours, and the thing that owns that thing, I'm just saying thing, that owns that thing, or person that owns that thing gets you for it. Or like, there's an injustice being done by encroaching and trespassing on this territory.
Like robbing religious items or something
exactly,
like that,
yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Which we'll have to talk at some point about saint relics and how they were like bodies of saints were stolen from cities and taken to other cities to draw tourists, and like it's a big old crazy mess. But talk about like magical objects and cursed objects and things like that. That's a whole...
That's what I mean. So like in the weird sense, then like something like the James Dean card, that's just like bad luck. That's just an object that's bad luck. It's not like cursed in the sense. Like it's not, because I guess if cursing in the traditional sense requires you to be like, I'm going to put a spell on this object. If you mess with this, like, or you do something with this, it's like it's now cursed. Versus like, I don't know, like there's just been some bad like because if you get that idea, then that like particular like in the case of like the car and its owners or whatever leading to bad misfortune, it's like, but no one did that intentionally. Like there was no like I put a curse on this car. If anyone drives it again,
like
when
they're
all die. Like it's
exactly.
but it's just like so it's like so
someone that
so
was
that's
like
just
assembling the car and hadn't been paid, and then like
I'll show them. Like it's like, I mean, or there's like the like Japanese cursed like swords, right? The Murasu, what is it, like Muramasa blades or whatever, and they're like they're supposedly like they were made by this one swordsmith, and it was like and supposedly they're like, these particular blades are cursed. They drive people into bloodlust. They need blood to quench the like their thing. It's like so there's like a like that's like, but there it is, like there's a craftsman who's making it, and there's like this intention put into it. It's like versus like the, again, random object that just is associated with bad luck, right? So it's
right.
Like, I don't know. So so it's kind of I feel like it needs to like for it to should be a curse. It should be like somebody said or did some kind of insert spell, like so sacrifice something that
like sometimes
causes...
there's almost an implication that like in some situations, particularly where there's like the justice angle, that maybe the spirits of the dead or spirits of demons or gods or things are the ones that cursed you for crossing that line. So it's almost like, boom, something did fling a curse at you, or they're out to get you now, and that's how the curse is working. Now that second one starts to look more like a haunting, because you're talking about a persistent behavior by an entity rather than they shot you with a bad luck arrow and now you've just got bad stuff happening to you. And so like it's almost inextricably linked with this idea of luck and bad luck. And
but it also seems like it's pretty much like a finality too, because there's like this kind of like, you're usually like dying when you get a curse. You usually end up like, it's very rare that like people are like, well, I got this curse and then I reversed it and everything's now it's usually like most of the people end up dead. There's not a lot of like coming back, and it's like, well, and it's more of like a warning to you, the non-cursed person, stay away from this stuff.
Well, that or they get rid of the thing. So I don't remember which doll it was, but one of them, the people moved and they left the doll in the attic. And then new people moved in and like, oh, cool, a doll. And like, I think there's a little girl, and like, and then the same thing allegedly started to happen. So they don't always die. Sometimes they like, I'm getting out of here,
But I feel like that's really a bad thing too. Like you didn't even resolve your own thing, just pass the curse off to somebody else.
It's kind of like this is above my pay grade type thing. Like, yeah.
But you didn't warn the person, like, they're like, yep, there's evil dolls lurking in the attic. Don't touch them if you want to buy this house. It's pretty cheap.
Well, no, you obviously mentioned that after you signed the final line at settlement. Oh, by the way, evil doll in the attic. I'm out.
Yeah. What about like people that try to collect cursed things? That's a whole different weird stuff. Like
do they collect them to protect people like Jack? in Friday the 13th, the series, or do they collect them to have a bunch of power?
So, I wish I could answer that. I almost could have, but I cannot. So, as part of my other podcast, I tried to interview the owner of this person was the owner of a shop. They sold cursed objects, but I didn't get a chance to interview them at all. They said the timing wasn't right, and I was like, that's cool, no problem. I'll try again later. And then we were in Gettysburg this past weekend, and there was I think it's a shop also that has cursed. I don't think you can buy them. I think it's more of like a museum kind of setup. But you can see different cursed objects.
Really?
And
In Gettysburg?
really, in Gettysburg, and in Lincoln Square.
All the more reason that place is haunted as hell.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see anything though. But anyway,
All right.
there's another place down in Lincoln Square, and on display. I'm pretty confident it wasn't Annabelle, but I'm pretty sure it was a replica of the little Annabelle doll inside of a glass container.
Oh wow!
But again, I think it was just a replica at that particular spot. I'm not really sure.
I'm enamored by the idea of having a job selling cursed objects. That might give hypnosis a run for its money. That's an interesting thing to say at parties.
Why would you want to get? I mean, like, do you think you'd want to sell like good objects as opposed to cursed objects? I don't know. I feel like there isn't a lot of like return customer.
Yeah, a lot of
cursed
business,
object.
a lot of business folks when they coach you on business, they say sell to rich clients. So to answer your question
Oh, okay. So if you
on
want
why you should sell cursed objects,
yeah, sell them to.
I could do that. I'll sell to rich clients.
Well,
I've got some cursed
or
objects for.
another type of client could be someone you want to get back at, but like you're being nice to them, you know, like, here, happy birthday, I got you this cool doll. It's a collector's item. Don't get rid of it.
One of a kind. Yeah. No, I think that'd be a fun job and a really cool job. If you guys have a job like that, listeners, let us know. Let us know about it.
So, like, does that mean like in the future, what's our gonna be like our cursed treasure, like bad code of like bad Bitcoin or something like that? Like some wealthy like oligarch is like, all my Bitcoin is now cursed. Like, it's like, you blew up my rocket.
So they
ship.
put it on some like online post, so it's actually like a digital curse.
Yeah, it's like, it's like, and then like now it's just out there in the feed. And anyone that like
You just type bath of hyssop, ring of salt, sacred burned wood. The curse is good. Yeah, you just type against it.
Well, this
type whatever
sounds
they
like
said backwards.
this sounds like next generation computer virus, you know, where you have in the code itself on a web page or something, you have like a section in there that people can't see that's like curses all visitors.
Yeah, it's down in the end user agreement.
They're all cursed.
Instead of selling VPNs, people just sell some kind of some evil eye type talisman, digital. The evil eye, that's another one. Now that's one that's a very common form of cursing, and it can almost be accidental. Like, it's not necessarily like somebody looks at you and they're like, their car, I want their car and I want them to have misfortune. It's like, well, and also people, a car. But anyway, I want them to have misfortune. It's more like someone looks at you and they have such jealousy and they want what you want, and it kind of like unconsciously, like, it curses you and you start to have misfortune. And then there are necklaces and things you can get and wear that protect you from. I mean, there's the Italian horn is a version of it. There's also the I feel like there's a Turkish. The
Malakis. Ward off the
Malakis.
You got to let the horns. I guess you're warding it off. So anytime you're throwing out horns at a heavy metal show, you're technically warding off evil, I guess.
Which might work against whoever's performing, depending on your perspective.
But if they're also doing...
But if they're
it just traps the evil in the air.
It does. It's a cone of power. That's how you do it. Right over the mosh pit. Right over the mosh pit. Curses. No, that there's a Turkish. I think it's Turkish. It's like a little. It's got a black and blue and white, and it looks like an eye. To protect against the evil eye. It's actually really cool looking. I've been seeing those crop up recently, and glass jewelry. But
Does anyone know? Is there anything in the US, like in the law books, about putting curses on people? Because
100%, I am 100% sure. But how do you do? Yeah, like, but probably if you get paid for it.
It's like the fortune telling thing, like we talked about in our previous
Yeah,
fortune telling episode. There's probably like some scam.
I'm sure somewhere there's still something on like the practice of witchcraft in general.
Yeah.
But like, don't even get me started on how hard it is to define actual witchcraft. Anyone who wants to call themselves a witch, I tell you, take permission and do it. Like, there are so many. Anyway, but like
I
that,
mean,
like,
cursing people might fall under free speech, that's
I mean, at this point in
as long as
time,
you're not doing
straight
it
up
for
threatening people seems to be free speech. But yeah,
yeah,
like in more
yeah.
sane times,
yeah. So I
you
mean,
couldn't do that stuff.
it might be protected things like but I imagine like
Yeah.
again like selling like I think like even like there's like you're talking about the cursed dolls or like magic spells and things like that. When people were selling that stuff on eBay, I think they still do. They eventually had to put a thing that like this is just for entertainment and it's not real because like the eBay cracked down on like people
Yeah.
claiming that like this thing was this type of object or whatever. It's like like it's real kind of
Yeah, depending on state laws,
yeah.
a
So
lot
I
of the
imagine
time, I
it's
think,
like
and so
there's some
organizations like
fraud.
that try to avoid it, and they don't want to deal with like return policies on the spell didn't work, and like
I want my money back. The spell didn't work.
like
Can I
people, if you're
exchange it
buying
for a different
spells,
spell?
it's street rules. It's street rules. If you bought it from somebody and it didn't work, I guess go hire somebody to curse that person.
A more reputable.
Yeah, a better worker. Yeah.
I'm
But
picturing a platform where you can actually buy spells from people and curses, and like you have like the 2-star reviews.
Oh man, yeah. But the notion of the curse, I mean, again, it's like a lot of the times it's bound up in the idea of luck. It's bound up in the idea of justice, about somebody doing something that's wrong. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's straight up, I want that person's romantic partner, and I'm going to do a curse to try to break them up, which is pretty effed up if you ask me. Actually, like there's not enough love magic out there, people. You got to go, and then just Anyway, I'm getting out of this, so escaping this all the time. But so sometimes it's just I want somebody something, I'm going to curse them, or I don't like somebody, I'm going to curse them. I somebody is trying to marry my granddaughter, and I think they're a scumbag, I'm going to curse them. And so like things like that. But again, it's kind of like this. It's bound up a lot of times in this idea of justice and something's not
Yeah, it's
right,
like
something's not fair, and this curse is somehow going to balance the scales somehow.
well, I think the cursed object thing too is probably something like at least in like folklore kind of tradition, like to keep you from one to like recognize like there's sacred spaces and like damaging sacred spaces is like wrong, like that's like the like the idea like when people do that, bad things happen to them, right? Or like kind of greed. Still, it's like you if you're greedy and you do these things, you'll meet like an untimely end or like have a string of like bad things happen to you. Like so it
Yeah.
definitely seems like, and it's like and the people that got this stuff in the first place, they kind of usually met a bad end, if it wasn't like a religious, thing. I mean, sometimes it might even be the case, but it's just like, yeah, it's like they kind of like something like they're sort of like, essentially like greed or lust for power or something like that, turn this object or this treasure into something, evil, it's like that can't be undone, right? It's like, so you should just stay away from it because you don't want the same thing to happen to you. But it would only happen to you if you also like wanted to get this object and wanted to be this greedy or powerful or like person. So it's kind of like, so it's almost like the by not going down that path, that's how you stay away from the curse, right? Like, it's like it's kind of like a threshold, right? Let's go.
Yeah.
There's a
And speaking of which, and speaking of thresholds, because that's a famous place to lay a curse for somebody, right at their doorstep, right at their. But so the idea of the cursed object, that you say like cast into your enemy's yard, or you like you leave a cursed object in their home or something like that. Like it's a that's a thing. And so a lot of times if you look into like so the earliest example of people doing curses, well, that's always an outlandish claim when you say the earliest. A very early account we have of people doing curses are things called defictiones or defictions. I'm not sure exactly how that's said. I think that the first way was right, but I believe it starts with the Greeks, and continued with the Romans, but it was you'd write like a request that something bad happens to somebody or something like that on a piece of metal, because metal was actually cheaper at those times than paper. Paper was very expensive for a long time. And drop it into like a sewer or a hole into the earth. The idea that these underworld deities would carry out the wish. But it's it's that first kind of thing of like that primordial notion of like planting a seed or like putting something in the earth. And so if you look at a lot of like hoodoo curses and things like that, it's kind of like you take a piece of fruit and you do these things to it and you make it this, basically you make it a cursed object, and then you go to your enemy's house and you throw it in their yard. If your enemy doesn't know it's there, they can't get rid of the curse. So there's this like proximity thing to like, it's almost like drawing bad luck to it, like it's got something about it that makes that happen. And sometimes there's like a place, like a cursed place, like anyone that tried to build here, something bad happened to them, and people might, so like these like kind of cursed places, but is it like a disturbed energy of the place kind of thing? So some of these things still fall outside of it, but I don't think you ever get very far from like luck, justice, and that kind of axis. I'm hung up on this, like the justice thing. I'm trying to find out if there's a counter example to that. That's just like something just straight up unlucky. Well, actually, how about like if you knock over salt and don't throw it over your shoulder, but that's not like you're cursed, right? Or is it? If you break a mirror, that's bad luck for 7 years. Is it a curse? I don't know.
The curse should have has to have some kind of like intention to it, right? There's got to be like some motivation of like wanting to involve
bringing harm onto somebody.
Harm, and it's like, but in a weird like sort of supernatural, I guess, way. The literal definition of it. Like it's not, it's not like it's like the harm may be eventually natural, but it's like, but they'll be like, well, that guy, they'll say like he met an untimely end or something. Like it's but you didn't do it directly. Like also that's the other thing. Like curses are like indirect because it's not like if you were like I cursed this knife, and like now I gave it to you, and then like you fell on the knife. It's like, well, I didn't stab you with the knife. I just the knife was cursed, and you just happened to fall. It's like later on when I wasn't around, so you can't connect me to this knife.
I think so. So I think we should probably say there's a difference between an unlucky object and a cursed object. But
Yeah.
and that difference is at least implied intention, the implied intentional harm towards people that um perpetuate an injustice.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
That's it.
And I
Okay.
think that drastically reduces the amount of cursed objects that are actually out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it does. It simplifies things, but it really opens the gates for unlucky slash haunted objects. And actually, I think a lot of them wind up actually just being that trespassing kind of thing. Like, I think a lot of them will wind up like a lot of things that where people feel like they get cursed. I think a lot of it is either they think a person cursed them or that they trespassed upon something they weren't supposed to do, and now they're cursed, you know. But I think the
Or like
implication
they
there is that there
purposely
is an
didn't
entity
heed
behind it,
Yeah.
you know.
Like in the Pharaoh curse, like they purposely did not heed the warning of the curse, right? It's like they were
Yeah.
like, well, we don't care about this. Like we're gonna do this anyway, right? You know,
Yeah,
like,
there's this hubris.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like you said, like it's like you're kind of like the justice, right, type of thing. Like it's supposed to be like a, you know, a way to warn you about your impending doom.
Yeah.
I want to manufacture no trespassing signs that say trespassers will be cursed. You know, be like shoplifters will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Something like that, but like with curses.
Trespassers will be cursed.
I mean, to tell you the truth, I think I would keep a lot of people out. It's especially if you made something really creepy where you put the sign.
Or something like trespassers
Like it
will
looked
not
like
be
some kind of,
prosecuted,
like-
but they will be cursed. Yeah, there you go. Have like a nice like a hex symbol on it or something.
You make something that looks like the remains of some animal. Like on like a spear looking thing and hang the sign there. So people just think you're just not right, you know. And that would be more
Yeah, that would
that
probably
would
keep
be
people
more
away,
convinced.
yeah.
It would be more convincing than if you put like fake human remains or something like that, because people would be like, this can't be real, and you might wind up with like police. But if it's like if it looks like a raccoon, yeah, that's the curse is on you then if you wind up with police. But if it's a raccoon or a snake or something weird, I don't know. I wouldn't do that to an actual animal, people. You'll get cursed by the animal. You will. I I believe that. The curse of the raccoon. We should talk about the curse of Greyface. Dan, do you know about the curse of Greyface?
I know even less about that than I do anything else which you've already talked about.
It is perhaps to most people the least scary curse because it's boring. It's boring. The curse of Greyface is this thing that comes from Discordianism, which is a topic of its own. But it's a parody religion, and it includes this story about Eris, who is behind, or the goddess Discord, and she's like the patron deity of Discordianism. But the enemy in Discordianism is this guy Greyface. And Greyface is the one that's convincing everybody that they need to take everything seriously, and is behind the aforementioned. No, actually, he's not behind the triplicate forms. I think Eris is, but he's behind everything serious. So if you're familiar with the notion of the Vogons in Hitchhiker's Guide, they're kind of like a similar, like very serious, very kind of like boring,
highly
kind of-
bureaucratic.
highly bureaucratic,
That's
yeah,
what-
like
would
all
be-
that kind of stuff. That's Greyface. So when you find that the Matrix is getting you down, you're being had by the curse of Greyface, and the response to it is the turkey curse, which is one of the funniest sounding curses that you might encounter. And the turkey curse, I believe, if I'm not mistaken on how you actually do it, it's you turn in the direction that you think the grey-facedness is coming from, and you make a gobbling sound and like an over-the-top kind of gesture. I would recommend one that is reminiscent of a turkey. This is why you have to tune in for the YouTube thing. I just did a very impressive turkey impersonation. And gobble, it's gobble noise, and it will have the desired effect. No, whatever serious thing was happening before then will at least be temporarily interrupted. You might need more than one of you to do it, depending on how serious it is. But don't say that we never gave you anything. Gobble gobble.
Well,
What do you guys think? Is this stuff scary?
curses? I mean, I guess
think so.
probably. Like, I mean, like in the sense of like, I don't know. I'm not usually in the position to steal treasure or swords or things. You have a tomb, you come across it, like let's just say it like that. It's got a ward on it, it's a warning, and it's like, there's like basically it says something like there's a shit ton of riches beyond here. You can have them all, but once you open this thing, you're gonna be cursed. And it doesn't matter what you do with the treasure, and it's not going to remove the curse. So even if you're like, I'm gonna take this treasure and give it all to the poor, like that doesn't matter. Like that's not there's no caveats to what you do. So even if your intentions are altruistic, the seal still says you're gonna get cursed. It's like so let's throw that on there too, because it's like because I know because removing curses is a whole different story.
What about laundering curses? So here's the setup. I take somebody who's very greedy and very stupid. Imagine somebody like that, actually. I wonder if you can imagine somebody that's very greedy and very stupid. Maybe somebody that has like a character limit for how long they would read something. Like they might just start and be like, screw it. I just want and they love shiny objects and things like that. I have a person like that, and they'd go and get the treasure, and then I just wait for the curse to take effect.
No,
and then gather it up. Has it been laundered?
I don't know. I don't think because if you take like something like the idea of the Hope Diamond, right? It's the curse. Yeah. The curse isn't lifted until it's in an area where it's no longer like. And that's even up for debate, right? Because we were saying like the stuff that's been happening with. The funding to our museums and things, is definitely could be part of. Who knows? It's just but you can pass it along once the seal is broken, right? Like the curse is there, the curse is on the stuff, right? Like it's like trying to do it's like the same thing. Like there's like so if someone else takes the curse stuff and tries to do something with it. It's like, wouldn't it pass it on to you? It's like they're just now it's just out there causing harm, causing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the likelihood of me going for that treasure is 0. but because specifically, I'm weird about messing with the dead. I'm more worried about them than the living when it comes to curses because I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Harder
eventually,
to track.
at some point in time, probably all of treasure was owned by somebody dead, So
yeah,
but I mean, that's it.
I think that if it's straight up saying it's cursed, I just think the payoff isn't worth it. You could just go and just pretend to be would be for me. You might be a normal person, all right? You could go and pretend to be a normal person long enough to work a job and work your way up and get a respectable salary, and then like slack off, which is what most people do when they get to that level, and just pawn off their work on other people. Because if you're willing to like rob tombs, you're probably also willing to just pawn off your work on other people, and then you could live pretty comfortably like that. That just seems like a lot less work than having to deal with a curse for the rest of your short life.
Just find ways of charging people high interest rates and being a landlord.
Actually, you could open up a website that sells curses that don't work and just say it's for entertainment only and risk is on you.
Yeah. So the cursed treasure vault, like whatever, it doesn't have to necessarily be a tomb, whatever. It's like it's like, what do we give that kind of thing? And then the treasure inside is cursed. Like once you get it, that's it. It's just like, you got the, and the curse is like misfortune, possibly death, maybe a little of both, I guess because I mean, usually that's what it is, right? So usually like it either brings death and misfortune to those around you, or it kills you like outright, because that's basically the.
So then for me, the curse itself gets 5 monsters because I treat it completely seriously. But the fact that the cursed treasure exists gets 0 monsters and me and those 5 monsters looking at somebody being like, told you so. Like, so I don't think it's scary when other people do it, but I wouldn't do it. I would take that very seriously. 5 monsters, not crossing that threshold. What do you guys think? Would you cross the threshold? Do you think it's all bunk?
I personally just like don't.
Or just
it's
don't
like
steal from
I think
the dead.
I just don't think stealing from things. It's like that says that if like.
I mean, you're
probably,
generally the no theft type, right?
Yeah, I don't
You
usually
personally.
yeah, I'm not really into like theft and greed and that kind of stuff. And my own hubris, it's like
I guess
I'm not really
mine's kind of like theft under certain circumstances.
yeah, I think if I was just facing it and I was just in a general moral thing, I would probably just side on the like, this is not a thing I would want to deal with. And yeah, I'm just don't really, whether it's the curse or not, I'm not sure, but it's like, but definitely it adds another level of like, if I'm just going to be purely instinctual about it, like what would be my gut reaction? I would say like, yeah, I'm not opening the cursed thing. And yeah, but I'm going to give it like probably like 3 of the monsters, probably just because like, I don't know. Just because I'm staying away from them, I'm sure someone else will take it, and then they'll be like, "It was not cursed after all," and then they'll, do something horrible with the money that kills a bunch of people, probably. But because that's usually how it works. So it was cursed after all, just not for them. It was so it's like, yeah. I think it's just like the greed thing is probably the more, it's like probably more dangerous than the curse, But but still, yeah, my gut reaction says no, so I'm giving it 3. I think and I wouldn't probably come across it in the first place, but if hopefully I'm staying away from all sorts of ancient tombs.
All right, Danny C, it's time for you to tell us.
That's like 0.
I am like full on chaotic neutral here. So I think I don't have enough. I will give it a rating, but I don't think I have enough information to really give a full on what I would do. So, for instance, if I were terminally ill and I had basically nothing to lose, I would just do it. Might as well, I also kind of am entertaining the idea of like getting people that I'm not too fond of and telling them about it and just like, hey, let's check it out and like let them do everything and they can keep it and whatever.
Well, what about what if the curse though like doesn't kill you but just kills like your like people you like, like it's like what if that like because you don't know how it's gonna operate, because it's like, so a lot of times when people have curses, it doesn't just misfall them. It's like the whole thing is that like curses their family or their lineage or their whatever, like their ancestors, like it usually has like some kind of broader implications than you're just gonna drop dead.
Well, does it though? I mean, if we talk about King Tut's tomb, for instance, did that extend into the?
I don't know that extended. That was just those people that did open it, right? But I guess like the Hope Diamond, the passing it along, cursed everyone that had it, kind of.
Because and that was like, again, it's kind of like that cursed by the gods, cursed by the spirits kind of thing.
But I think there's a very small percentage I'd be like, I'm sure it'll be okay, and I would just do it myself, like go in and like get whatever. I could see any of those 3 scenarios kind of playing out, just kind of depending on where I am at the time mentally.
Yeah, I am curious about the laundering of curses, the laundering of cursed money and things like that. I guess we should probably put a fork in it, a cursed fork in it.